Okay, we are back in MC Hammer, and today I'm gonna check something. I will measure the battery capacity because yesterday when I did the race with Powell, I noticed that the battery capacity seems to be way lower than it should be. So let me explain a little bit. You see, we are at 100% now, and we have only 483 kilometers. It's supposed to be 499 kilometers, and I haven't driven that much really. If you see here on the odometer, 38,000 kilometers. And so something happened this summer, maybe an update or something, and it seems like I have lost, well, according to my estimations, I have lost 5 kilowatt hours. I'm supposed to get 74.5 kilowatt hours out of this battery, and I also measured other Model 3s to have the same thing. So let me just check now. We're going to check several things. So let's switch here, just double checking. Yeah, see, it says 100%, 400 something. So now we just start driving north, and we'll see what happens. All right, we are on the move now, and we are at 383 kilometers. That means we have spent exactly 100 kilometers. And if we do the math here, we have about 14, I mean, well, that one says 15 kilowatt hours. Okay, let's trust this one then. So at least according to this one, this number, 1 kilometer is still 150 watt per kilometer. We're gonna do another readout later, but so far looking good. I mean, looking okay so far. So the plan now, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, we don't need to drive at 90 kilometers per hour now. It takes forever. It's already 8. So we're gonna drive the car down to almost 0 and see how many kilowatt hours we get out of the battery. It's not a range test. It's not really a capacity test. I mean, it's a capacity test. It's not a degradation test because there's something wrong here. We have lost way more degradation than we're supposed to get. I mean, yeah. So we'll see. What the heck? Did that car just speed up? Why do people always do that? You see? Now I'm doing 110. I was cruising behind this dude, this clown, and then I went to the left lane to overtake, and then they speed up, and now I'm behind. Okay, I want to go at 110, right? So then I go to the left lane, all right, and then I'm gonna go past that guy, and then what does he do then? He speeds up. I just need to slap him or her. Maybe it's always a look, what the heck, dude? Why do you keep doing that? What? Stop doing that. Hey, shit. All right, I just discovered something. If you see here, since last charge, it says 196 watt per kilometer, but here it says 193. So there's a difference between these two, and I think it was that when I when the charging finished, I didn't pay attention. So I was playing games, so the car was running with a heater on, and that might have counted. So I calculated it should be around 0.4 kilowatt hours. We're gonna do the math again, but we can take 197, the diff between 194 and 197 roughly, and then multiply by the distance, and you get around 300, 400 watt hour. So okay, at least we know that one when we finish. But according to my estimation so far, it seems like 1 kilometer here is not 150 anymore. It's actually 145. So yeah, so that means that the loss of energy is great. I suspect I suddenly have lost 4 to 5 kilowatt hours just like that during this summer. All right, we've been driving for 1 hour and 24 minutes, and I'm going to show you something here. So in a previous video, I think it was the video where I showed you that I'm charging to 60%. You could see that at 60% I had 300 kilometers of range, and you can see here that I'm at 62% now, and I have, well, it's about to turn, right? So you see there 300 kilometers. So you see, this is also another indication that the number for typical has changed. because it should be 60% and 300 kilometers, but it's not. All right, we are getting close to the end, and I will just left lane hug, but I will show you something. See, now we have 83 kilometers left, so it means that we have spent exactly 400 kilometers of typical range. And if you look at these numbers and crunch them together, it means that 1 kilometer typical is actually 144 watt-hour per kilometer. So this is something that doesn't change automatically, and the user cannot change it. Tesla needs to change it. So Tesla purposely changed it from 150 to 144 for some reason. All right, we are getting close to the end now, and so I'll show you here. We have 8% left. We have to go another 16 kilometers, and we are starting to see a little bit of power limit. So everything looks normal right now. Nothing crazy stuff going on. By the way, let me switch here. So average is 187 so far. So we're going to end there with about 5%, and then we start charging. We are now at the Ionity charger here in Dal, and look at the screenshots. Okay, so we ended here with 4%, but if you look at the other one here, we ended with 20 or 21. It leaves between 20 and 21. So let's say 21 then, to be fair, because it was probably 21 when we came here. That means that the last 21 kilometers equals to 3 kilowatt hours. And then if you add those two numbers together, the distance times the consumption, there of course there's some round-off error here, but the round-off error is less now that we have actually driven almost the full distance. But it's going to be 69.5 kilowatt hours total, and the car had 74.5 kilowatt hours. So somehow I lost 5 kilowatt hours this summer, probably the last month or something. That's actually really huge. I don't think it's a degradation. It could be a faulty module or something, but you know, it's not supposed to be like this. Even with normal degradation, I'm supposed to lose about 0.5 to 1 kilowatt hours. This car is not that old. So I guess next step is I will ask Tesla if there's something wrong. I might go to the service center. They could try to quickly diagnose the car or whatever. But this car is fortunately still under warranty. But still, you know, the change in typical from 150 to 145 is also a little bit suspect. Well, okay, and now I'm going to do something else. Now I will charge the car, and I will compare the voltage on a given state of charge with a previous recording I had when everything was normal and I actually had 500 kilometers displayed, when I had 74 kilowatt hours, you know. I want to know if Tesla did something, software change, if they purposely hid the 5 kilowatt hours, where did they hide it? And most likely not in the top, because if they hid it in the top, then I would have very fast charging speed to 100%, and I will have full regen at 100%. And when I charge now, it took a very long time. And when I started driving, I had the regen, lots of regen limit. So it indicates that they didn't put anything, there's no buffer in the top. Yeah, but now we're going to check the charging. So let's do that. It will be, I have to use this camera to record it. All right, we are back home now. So I took a couple of days to prepare some data here, and I will just show you a charging screen. So the left one shows you the old charging screen before the nerf, and the new one shows you the one I just recorded yesterday. And you see that they have about the same charging speed, so at least that one hasn't been changed. But pay attention to the voltage. The voltage is higher now than it was before. And what does that mean? It means that, you know, at a given state of charge, if you're charging, well, you probably notice here that as you charge up, the voltage goes up. So that actually hints you that before, when you had lower voltage, it means that you actually had lower state of charge there. So now it means basically that Tesla, they've been shifting the state of charge percentage scale a little bit, because they can do whatever they like. If they show you 0%, it's not really 0%, you know. It's just like an e-tron. When it's at 100%, it's not really at 100%. It's at 95% or whatever, and they have a hidden buffer on top there. So basically Tesla did the same thing here. But another thing you should know is that this is the voltage you see here is the charging voltage. It's not the battery. It's not the cell voltage. So if you disconnect the charger and measure the voltage, then at 50, well, okay, given that we didn't have any nerve, then the voltage should be the same. Of course, I don't have the tool for it. I should get the tool, OBD measuring stuff to see more into what's going on inside here. But I mean, we get some indication just looking at the charging screen, because based on this, I suspect that they actually hit about 3 kilowatt hours in the bottom. So, and okay, you see, another thing is that the kilowatt hours, by the way, in the new charging screen is higher. So we've been thinking, what the heck? Why is it like that? Should it be lower? Yes, it is in fact lower, because the charging screen on the left started with 10%, whereas on the right one, the counter started at 4%. So I'm going to show you that also. But you see now that towards the bottom, towards the top, then you have less difference in voltage. It was actually 4 volt difference in the bottom, but here at the top it's only 1, and that also indicates that they haven't hit any capacity in the top. And as I also experienced last night when I drove with that, I did see regen limit at top, indicating that you know, the battery is pretty fully charged. It can't take more input, and also it took very long time to charge to 100%. So all that points into the same direction. That the top is the same, the bottom is where they hid some capacity, and supposedly Tesla did that to prevent degradation or running down to 0 or whatever. I'm not sure what they did. But okay, now towards the, well, the left one did a little bit weird stuff. They dropped temporarily and came up again. But you see that also the voltage now is, yeah, see, 404. So I didn't go to 100% because I didn't do that in the previous one. So that's why I never bothered to do it. Of course, if we go to 100%, you will see the voltage at the very top. But I'm guessing it should be more or less the same. At 90%, it's almost the same. I'm not sure why the old one shows 1 volt lower than the new one. But okay. Okay, so let me show you now a frozen screenshot. And you see that when we were at 10% in the start on the left versus when we actually charged 10% to on the new one, you see that we have added about 4.7 kilowatt hours. So we have to take that one and subtract it. So here you see the N screenshots on both of them. And the 66.9, that means that okay, the old one added 65.6, and the new one, if we subtract the 4.7 kilowatt hours, it would be 62.2 only. So we added less energy in the new. But keep in mind that this is energy delivered by the charger, and there's a little bit of loss in the heat buildup in the cable, and also lost energy in the battery heating up. That's just the nature of batteries. So I'm actually guessing that the available energy is about 3 kilowatt hours less than before. And also time-wise, you see that we spent 37.5 minutes before, and now it only took, well, if you subtract the starting time to 10%, it's only 35.45 minutes. So that's 1 minute and 45 minutes faster. Again, sounds reasonable, depending, I mean, based on that, how much energy that applies to and all that, based on the charging speed. All right, and now we look at the frozen screenshot. So this is not the same sequence we saw when the animation was running, because this time I shifted it to match the same voltage. And like I mentioned, you know, if you want to compare the charging voltage, you have to have the same charging power. So we actually have it here, 182 kilowatt on both of them, and you see that at 12% before, it's now 8%. 4% out of 74.5 kilowatt hour that we had before is in fact 3 kilowatt hours. So again, it confirms my suspicions that we lost 3 kilowatt hours. And if we just keep going up, let's go to 15% before. You see that's 11% now with the same voltage again, almost the same charging power. And at 20%, we'll see about the same there also, 377, okay, yes. So you see, it's about a 4 to 5% difference. So I mean, this could actually be in that if I dare to go to 10% before, I could go to 5% now, and it would more or less be the same, right? Because usually, I mean, before, I didn't really go to 0% anyway. I don't want to go that low. And it's not too healthy for the battery to go that low anyway. But you see now, okay, it's 4%, but if you go a little bit higher, let's say 30%, oh, it's still more or less the same, okay, and 35, okay, about the same still. But stuff starts to happen when you go higher. See, 40%, now we have a 3% diff. And then, okay, now it just happened to be 5% diff, but that's actually because of the volt. I mean, you see that the charging power just happened to be higher on these two. So this is a little mistake for me. You can't really compare them. Again, here now, this is right where it starts throttling. So that's why it's also not directly comparable. This one, barely, MP55. But, and also, I couldn't go higher because the higher I go, then there's a little bit too much difference between these two. But you get the idea that at the bottom, there was a big difference. And then at the top, there's a smaller difference. So now I will talk a little bit about that range that I mentioned, you know, that constant. So short explanation, other cars, most other EVs, they don't use a constant. When you have high consumption, the car will use that one as a base for estimating your range, and then your displaced kilometers or miles range will drop. That's GOM in the gasometer. And then if you drive slowly, or if you have nice hot weather with low consumption, then the range will go up. But for Tesla, it's constant. No matter what you do, this is a very general misconception. Many people, they think that Tesla also uses a GOM, but it just uses a constant that never changes, even not in winter, summer, whatever. So the constant I measured in the Model S, in the Model 3, has been, well, I said 150, but if you do the math here, you know, I measured 74.5 kilowatt hours. In many cars, in my own car, in cars in US, and that actually equals to 149 watt per kilometer and 499. So that is on the performance. I don't actually remember. Yeah, I think the non-performance also has that one. But you see, if we take the 69.6 kilowatt hours that I measured recently, it will only be 467 kilometers of displayed range. So we actually lost 6% or 32 kilometers. But the tricky part here, or the sneaky part with Tesla, is that they changed the constant so that it will look like you have a lower drop, only 16 kilometers and 3%. And for most people, they will not notice that. You know, they think it's just natural degradation or whatever, but it's a very sudden drop. And you know, just look at these numbers. You know, this is the reason why you can't look at displayed range and calculate degradation based on that, because the constant might change, and that will mess you up, and you think that you haven't lost that much, but in reality you lost more. And also in the model, at least in Model S and X, you have this hidden buffer. When you charge to 100%, it will just say 100%, and your range will just stop increasing, but you still add energy. And then when you start driving, you can actually drive for a long time, usually about 10-20 kilometers, about 10 kilometers. And during those initial 10 kilometers, your kilowatt hours in the trip meter will tick up. So you obviously spend energy because you're physically driving, but the percentage stays at 100, and the kilometer or miles stays at the maximum. And then suddenly it starts dropping. So that's the way Tesla has been hiding degradation, about 2 kilowatt hours, because they know how batteries work, and they know that in the initial 3 to 6 months of a lithium battery's lifetime, you will lose a little bit of capacity. This happens to every lithium battery. So they do that to not confuse people, because if people just lose a bunch of kilometers, then they will claim something is wrong. But in the Model 3, then I'm not sure how they did it, because some indications shows that when I start driving immediately, I lose the range. So it seems like they haven't hid it like the S and X. But on the other hand, there's going to be some degradation in the Model 3. It can't be that great. But when I look at all the screenshots, that was actually not that old. It was 2 months ago, where I suggested that you would charge at 60%. Then at 60%, I did have 299 kilometers. So it means that there shouldn't be any crazy 2 kilowatt hour drop. So I'm a little bit puzzled about that. But okay, after I shot the video, this guy, Fons, okay, whatever, but his name is Cool Silver. You've seen it on the live stream many times and on YouTube comments. He also did a test. He knows how to do this properly. So you see, he drove 300 miles in one go, almost more or less in one go, without any vampire drain or whatever. You know, he knows how to test this properly. And I also did the math for him that he spent 64.5 kilowatt hours. And he also had a 21 mile left over, and that is 4.9, and that means that he has 69.4 kilowatt hours. No, he doesn't have nearly as close as the 74.5 that he's supposed to get. So this means that this is not a failure in my car. It also affects other cars. It seems like, well, you know, it's not an accident, or there's not a bug, because Tesla purposely changed the constant. You know, they don't, you simply don't accidentally change the constant. You know, it has been on purpose. And also this guy here, he commented on my video. He said that he had the exact same thing. David Lim, yes, 409 before, and suddenly he gets 485. And he claims 300. He claims 3% drop of range, but it's in fact not 3%. If he would do the same test as I did, he would probably measure 69 or something kilowatt hours also. So again, you know, where did those 5 kilowatt hours go then? Because obviously we lost 5 kilowatt hours, not only 3 kilowatt hours, but I was only able to measure 3 kilowatt hours based on all I know. So I'm actually not sure where they went. For all we know, it could actually be 5 kilowatt hours that disappeared at the bottom, not 3. Or it could be that 2 kilowatt hours was degradation, but that sounds a little bit high. My gut feeling says that I should have only 0.5 to 1 kilowatt hour degradation, even counting the initial degradation. So maybe we have 4 kilowatt hour at the bottom that disappeared then. But okay, let's try to summarize this. It's getting a very long video. My guess, based on my screenshots and what I've seen now, is that this change happened for the last 1 to 2 weeks. I'm suspecting that it happened with the version 10 or whatever, but you know, I know roughly how much range I'm supposed to have when I look at my screen, and I noticed that that happened very recently. And if it was degradation, it would happen slowly. It didn't happen slowly. And also, you know, Tesla, they changed the constant and they removed the 3 kilowatt hours. And you know, if there is a module failure, then I will probably have some other, there will be other indications. Maybe, I mean, hopefully Tesla would display it, saying that, you know, something is wrong, we're missing 5 kilowatt hours or whatever. And just like the EQC, I would probably get some kind of weird drop towards the end. I mean, towards the lower, when you have low state of charge, then it would just start ticking down really fast. But that never happened. When I did the test, when I had the race also, I saw that towards the end, let's say close to 10%, it went really steady, like everything was normal. It was in fact normal. Everything was normal. What does this mean to me that they took away some kilowatt hours? Well, practically it doesn't mean anything, because most of the time I stay between 60% and 50% anyway when I'm in town. And when I'm on a long road trip, I will probably charge to 70%, sometimes 90% if I'm eating, and then I will probably discharge it to 10% or sometimes 20%, because we have so many fast chargers on the route anyway. Even when I took the road trip with wifey this summer, I didn't really go too high or too low. I think the highest I went was 90% and something like that. So it doesn't really mean anything for me. And so I guess if I know that there's a buffer, and I mean a buffer on the bottom, I could go a little bit lower. But what I should do is try to drive the car until it stops, because that would be an interesting test. But I have to do it in a very controlled way. Maybe IKEA, maybe with the help of Pavel or something. But yeah, actually IKEA, that's a good idea. Do that at night, 1 a.m. at night or whatever. But I need some help to push the car to the charger, and it's also going to hurt the battery a little bit. But I feel like I want to try to see how much did they hire. Did they actually just hit it there like a leaf? Because, you know, with a leaf, you can in fact drive very far beyond zero. And in Leaf Spy, you will see that when you have 0% on the display, it's 10% in leaf spy. So the BMS knows that we still have 10% more. But what Tesla could do is that they could lock it and actually shut down the car before, earlier now than before. So that would be an interesting test. Another test I also have to do is I have to borrow another Model 3 and test if they have the same one. Well, actually, that was the idea, but now we already have at least 2 people confirming the same. So maybe I will not gonna bother doing that because it will take a long time. And also, I know that Tesla is watching my videos, so it would be great to get an answer from Tesla because, like I mentioned, this is not a bug. It's not a failure. It's not a hardware failure. It is an intentional change from Tesla, but very sad that Tesla does not give you this information. You know, Tesla, they will brag about new features like the fart mode or some new feature, dog mode or whatever, autopilot stuff. But they will not tell you about negative updates like this. They just silently hide it. No one knew about this until I discovered it, or hopefully someone else also discovered this. So please, Tesla, what the heck is going on? Can you just contact me? You know how to contact me. I want to know what did you guys do and why did you do it? That would be great. If not, then I guess I have to do it the hard way and find out more and do those tests I mentioned. But alright, this was a very long video, but I felt like it needed a good enough explanation because I've seen many times that if I don't explain enough in my videos, I leave out stuff that I think is obvious. People start asking, oh, what is that? Did you test this? What about heat loss? What about vampire brain? No, we already covered all those cases. We did very rough, we did very careful investigation and testing here, and based on all my experience, this is what I concluded. So, alright, that'll be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.